We're learning more about the southern border this morning and how deadly it can be for migrants. From high-speed chases to sudden drownings, the death toll is climbing for those who attempt to enter the country illegally. And it's becoming a multifaceted challenge for those on the front lines. News Nation's Allie Bradley is on the southern border with the exclusive report. Allie, you've got the latest numbers and the true dangers that the migrants themselves face.
Yeah, hey, Nick, this is not for the faint of heart here, trying to enter into the United States illegally. And where we are here in the Del Rio sector, it's actually leading the nation in migrant deaths. We know that there have already been 105 deaths in this sector alone accounted for. Now, how are those deaths being reported? Well, the number one cause is drowning, people trying to cross the Rio Grande. Next would be heat-related deaths, which it's extremely hot. It's going to be about 108 degrees today. And then finally, we have individuals who are ending up in these vehicle pursuits, vehicle crashes. We want to show you some video that we obtained from Texas DPS, a vehicle pursuit that actually ended up on Laughlin Air Force Base, of course, breaching a military installation. This vehicle was driving around for 10 minutes on base before it actually came to a stop. So Texas DPS says that a smuggler here in this situation on Friday, they led troopers on a high-speed chase through Val Verde County, which is where we are. Now, during that chase, the smuggler drove through a gate at Laughlin Air Force Base, continuing to evade. The suspect vehicle then drove off-road through a second fence. Those immigrants inside of that vehicle actually bailed out. The driver also bailed. Now, only 2 migrants were apprehended in this situation. The driver and 2 other illegal immigrants still have not been located days later. And then those pursuits can lead to tragedies, unfortunately, like this, where 3 migrants were killed when Texas DPS says that a driver failed to negotiate a turn during a chase, her vehicle rolling, ejecting people from that vehicle. And while we are seeing substantially fewer apprehensions here in this sector, the number of deaths is actually averaging as high as when the number of encounters were more than triple what we're experiencing right now as the heat picks up. So here in the Del Rio sector, they're seeing about 4 deaths a week, while apprehensions are down to around 2,000 a week. Deaths have remained pretty constant. The latest week, though, seeing a big spike. We're reporting 7 deaths over last week. Border Patrol Chief Jason Owens posting a warning yesterday saying summer is upon us. High temperatures and remote ranch lands, deserts make already dangerous conditions even more dire. Now, the chief is reporting that since this fiscal year began in October, USBP rescued more than 3,700 people. Sources confirm 328 people have died along the southern border, and the agency has received 190 rescue beacon activations. Del Rio, as I mentioned, leading right now with 105 of those deaths. Now, look at this. The chief in the El Paso sector also putting out a warning, reporting that in the New Mexico area of the sector, there have been 6 migrant-related calls within 6 hours. That's what they're up against right now. So I mentioned that tragic crash, that deadly crash. We're standing here where it all really unfolded, Nick. So what happened is that car barreled down this road going about 120 miles an hour, hit a median or hit that bushy area over there, rolled the car. And where we're standing, you can still see debris all over the place down here. And the bodies were actually over in this area. The car finally came to a rest over here, Nick. So it really shows what we're dealing with down here. You can see kind of the aftermath here. And we actually just talked to the owner of a local restaurant here that thanked us for being here, saying these are stories that nobody's talking about, that people need to understand. Just because we aren't seeing the huge groups, Nick, of 300 people come across right now in this sector, they are still dealing with human smuggling pursuits, dangerous for the community, dangerous for the migrants, and dangerous for law enforcement as well, Nick.
Allie, quickly, because you know I'm out of time, but you mentioned how a car drove onto a military base. How often does that happen?
Yeah, so it hasn't happened very often, but we've had as many as 3 in the last kind of 3 weeks. We had Quantico being breached, right? Laughlin Air Force Base was breached twice within 8 days, Nick. So that is a national security concern. We've talked to national security experts that say that is something that they are worried about because of the ease of getting onto that base. And again, that vehicle was traveling on base for 10 minutes before it actually came to a stop, raising those concerns for our national security and just how fortified our bases really are, Nick.
Allie Bradley at the southern border with reporting you will only see on News Nation. Allie, thank you.